Hi, this is János. It is Real World Audio, and I'm going to read out Frank's comment, and I'm going to share my thoughts about it because now, today, we are going to talk a little bit about analog versus digital sources. So much has been said about the subject, but now I'm going to say something that I don't think many times has been mentioned, and this is something that I started noticing after a while, after like several decades of listening to both, like really heavily, not just like, okay, I listen to an LP if I am constantly on digital, and maybe I like it, maybe I not. If it was a great setup, ooh, then all floored, how great it sound. If it wasn't as good setup as my digital rig, then okay, I go and bash vinyl on all forums. But when you live with both and experience the good, bad, the ugly, and the fantastic on every front, then after a while uh, you'll have more experiences to build on and just formulate some impressions. And I'm going to share my impression, but first I'm going to read Frank's comment because he inspired me to share about it. So whenever you go back listening to your favorite music on vinyl with a quality replay turntable, cartridge, and electronics, anytime you are over and over again astonished how good vinyl really can be it mono or stereo. It's always a renewable emotional shock for the soul. Same with quality tape replay. Thank you, Frank. And I think you have really pointed at something really critical and the same as my experience, and you use the words renewable emotional shock. It's so that's something what I experience when I listen to vinyl is that it's a different experience every time. So if I use a river analogy, then the analog source, both tape and vinyl, is like standing at the bank of a river or by the ocean and looking at the waves. And you always just, this is so beautiful, and you just, you're just watching the imagery, or you are watching the sunset, and this is a perfect sunset. But the sunset is different every night, and it will be a different experience. How it hits me emotionally, it's different every single time. And how I listened to that Petrushka, what I got from it the day before, when I listened to it in the morning, I'm never going to get that exact same experience. If I would were to put it and listen to it now, I would have a different experience. And to me, this is a huge benefit because it to me the LP is a live media, and it's not because of the LP it's live or something humbug like that, but how it talks to me. That's life. It's different and it changes, and maybe the vinyl doesn't change, but how it affects me, it's different every time. So it's something, there's a dynamic exchange. And when I'm listening to digital, I put on the CD yesterday, put on the CD today, it's going to be so much closer. So, and I just got a reminder how much closer the digital experiences are compared to vinyl. That I just had my friends over here, and we listened to music for about 3 hours, and we are using all digital. So we were listening to digital only. So we listened to my Micromega CD player as the source, and Jimmy brought over two decks, I mean two streamers, and we listened to those streamers as well. And and we listened to, like, first of all, like a dozen plus CDs, and then to the same songs as we listen to the CDs from the streamer as well. And a large variety of music recorded by very different recording studios, very different decades, uh, all kinds, very, very diverse, very different songs, very different repertoire. And and actually there was a difference to them. So like from on the Micromega it sounded different than on the SMSL streamer, and on the iFi streamer with a dedicated LPSU. All three were different experiences, but at the same time they had the same envelope to them. uh, some, like the SMSL, was the least refined envelope, and the iFi and the Micromega were much more refined than that, uh, but but they kind of affected me in a similar way. Uh, and the dynamic range was that, like the SMSL had a lot of fatigue to it, and it was like kind of like a skinny sound. The iFi was the most focused, had the most clarity, and the Micromega had the best top end extension, and so they had different flavors to them, but even through those differences and the differences of each song being recorded in very different decade, very different recording studio, different methods, so the entire I would not say entire diversity, but a giant diversity of the digital universe, CD streaming, high res, blue book res, whatever materials, from taiko drumming through, you know, everything, Harry Belafonte and whatnot, the whole lot that we audiophiles listen to when we get together. But they were sounded the same, basically. How the experience was is that basically I had the experience that I'm listening to audiophile system, audiophile stuff, and the focus was on the audiophility of the experience, and some gave more audiophile experience and others gave less of an audiophile experience. But I was in the same mood. It did not move me. It did not touch the soul. It just touched, the intellect. It just got me more or less excited, more happy or less happy. But that's the range, and that's what I'm noticing, that when I'm listening to digital, the range of emotions, what I'm getting, how it's affecting me, it's a very narrow, very limited range. And where vinyl and tape has the advantage for me is that I'm experiencing, even just with the same recording, I don't even need to grab like different records, like I reach up here above my head and grab something. I don't even need to compare this piece to that. I can just put on the Messiah now and tomorrow morning, and I have two vastly different experiences. It will take me to two different places. And I can have I won't grab my CD collection, 100 CDs right there or more under the sofa. I can play all of them, and they will all basically take me to a very similar place. So I think this is that's what Frank's comment prompted me to say, and I think that's where a good vinyl setup can take you. It can take you everywhere, and that's why I love it. And it doesn't matter, as Frank said, whether mono or stereo. It doesn't matter. It will take you there. And I just get a reminder of that, that for example, now that we listen to digital, and everyone was going crazy whether the singer is exactly in the center or a little bit like off center, and in digital you just get totally jazzed up on that, like what's going on. But with vinyl, your focus is not there, that am I getting a perfect studio sound, or it's just it's not about the technology, not about how things should sound or what is perfection, all sorts of notions like that. But I put on a record, and I don't even think about that I'm listening to a recording. It's just the music. There's you and the music, and and I just really love to be reminded that each of us, every single one of us, has so different priorities on how we hear, how we connect to music, what we want to hear from our stereos, and really what I have just told you is how I connect to the music. Maybe you connect to it in a different way, and the most important part is find out how you do, and have the best out of it. So if you have a digital setup that can take you all sorts of places, that's wonderful. But I have to tell you, guys and girls, that for a lot of time I used to listen predominantly to digital, to the micro mega, and I felt at the time that it's taking me everywhere to all sorts of places. But compared to that, the my vinyl setup today just takes me to exponentially more diverse places than the digital ever took me. So just because you have something good going on, something great, or something that even astonishes you, it does might not mean that that's the end of all answers. It might not mean that you are never going to get beyond that, or you are never going to have experiences beyond that. So like 10 years ago, I would never have expected to have these kinds of experiences that I have now. So there's always change, and that's part of the joy of an audiophile's life, is that we don't know all the answers. There's not a single person who knows everything. I don't know everything for sure. However, what I know is that what I have experienced, I'm trying to share it. Some things are easy to express, but most of these things are very difficult. And I think I'm doing a very poor job at expressing myself, because I'm trying to convey a lot of things that are not conveyed, and we do not have like set expressions in the audiophile world. There are no experiences like that, so how I can translate it in these emotions and feelings and experiences in the world, sometimes I do a okay job, but sometimes I really bang it up. So I really hope that all of you have, or you have, a really um, fun music selection for tonight. And I just recommend that after this video, just put on the music and enjoy it. And just try to find a way how you can connect to it deeper, whether it's digital or analog. Don't care. If you have only a digital system, and you cannot buy vinyl, don't fret about it. I was in those shoes for a long time. I didn't have access to records, I just had access to digital, and I was perfectly happy with it. So don't worry if all your diet currently is digital. You can get a lot out of digital. So never mind. Or if you just listen, you have cassette tapes, let's say, nothing else, and then you are wondering how digital is. but you don't have some that maybe that's very unrealistic today. But I think there's some people around who have tape decks and a huge collection, especially like if you were born like before the 80s and you amassed a nice collection of tapes. And if you love it, then just never mind that there's like reviews on streamers and whatnot. If you love the tapes, just listen to them. Have an awesome day. Bye bye.